We'll get started with it. Historic nomination, the first black man from Kentucky to be the primary candidate for the U.S. Senate. What does last night mean for you? I know I heard you mention to your daughters that this meant that they could do anything. What does this mean to you and your family?
It means more than I can really put to words. I'm humbled, I'm inspired, I'm proud as a Kentuckian, and I'm fired up. I realize how big this is. Um, we are at a time in our country where democracy is hanging on by a thread. There's so much hate, there's so much division, and a lot of people have sort of thrown their hands up, and they got every reason to. But this is a moment that should remind us all to keep pushing, to know that change is possible. And my ancestors were enslaved in this Commonwealth. And to stand now in that legacy, to represent the top of the ticket for this place I love so dearly, it's incredible.
And you mentioned last night as well that this race would determine the future of democracy. What are your plans? You're going up against incumbent Senator Rand Paul, who arguably has a lot of support. What are your plans come November?
Well, there's two things that we're going to do to beat Rand Paul. I want to be clear, we're going to blow him out. And I say that with confidence because we're going to make a resounding statement as Kentuckians that our future is worth it, and we're tired of being screwed and disrespected and mocked by Rand Paul and people like him. We're going to do that by lifting up a message and a vision that lets folks know that change is possible. A Kentucky New Deal is a promise that we can invest in life, freedom, and prosperity for every single one of us, that we can end generational poverty, that we can finally do the work of centering and prioritizing Kentuckians and not big money interests. And we're doing it by organizing on issues. What pisses people off? What are they concerned with? What are their dreams? What do they want to see change in their community? And because of that, we have over 20,000 volunteers already. Every county, we have support. So we're going to mobilize that movement. But we're also going to call out Rand Paul because you mentioned just that point that I've been raising, that this race will determine the fate of democracy. And I say that because we're not just running against Rand Paul, we're running against hate. We're running against structural racism. We are running against the very things that have undermined our pursuit of democracy. And Rand Paul has been at the center of it because he doesn't believe in democracy. He calls himself a libertarian, but he's not even that. He's an opportunist. He's a crisis actor. He's a conspiracy theorist. And he does not believe that everyone should be heard in this country. And we need to beat that.
And come November, if it is you who gets the seat at the end of the day, what are going to be some of the top issues that you bring to Washington?
So a Kentucky New Deal for me is really my dedication to fighting for the people of Kentucky to, as I said, end generational poverty and pull up the roots of structural inequity. We need to do that, first of all, by protecting the right to vote. Everyone should be able to be heard. It should be easier, not harder, for Kentuckians to lift their voices up on the things they want to see. And we know that Kentucky's been one of the most disenfranchised states in the country. So the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, policies like the For the People Act, getting big money, dark money out of politics will set the table for all the other things that come. But beyond that, make sure everyone has quality health care, that we make the investments in our infrastructure so internet's not crap, that we have clean water, our utilities aren't astronomical, that people can afford to keep a roof over their heads, that we have financial freedom with policies like universal basic income. I'm struggling with my wife to get formula for our baby, attacking these, not just mere inflation in a simplistic way, but the price gouging that big corporations are doing at the expense of regular people, and building a sustainable future. Kentucky's been ground zero for the ills and the decline of the fossil fuel industry as those jobs have left. We need to reclaim and restore a lot of land and a lot of communities across Kentucky, and those will be my priorities.
And another thing that you mentioned last night, you said it a few different times that Senator Rand Paul doesn't believe that racism exists anymore. What kind of spurred you to bring that up, and why did you feel like it was important to address?
Well, it's important to address because it does exist and it is real, and we can't heal as a country by ignoring the challenges that we face. And I lifted up Buffalo, New York, one, to highlight the importance of the work that we're doing for justice and for healing and for true community safety, but also to remind Kentuckians that that very same incident took place here not too long ago at the Kroger in J-Town. And if we ignore racism, it only grows. And Rand Paul has said repeatedly that racism is a thing of the past. He would have opposed the Civil Rights Act for provisions that prevent discrimination against folks that look like us going into businesses. He said that expanded health care is like slavery for doctors. He single-handedly blocked the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. He doesn't see the challenges we face because he doesn't see us. And so centering that is how we're going to win, because most Democrats, at least from the party leadership, try to avoid these conversations. Republicans like Rand Paul are bringing up critical race theory for a reason. It's not because they care about what it is. They want to stoke conspiracies. And now there's this great replacement theory that they're pouring out there. They're weaponizing hate. And we have to beat that so that we can move forward.